Today's sync sound is a fake sneeze. 3, 2, 1.
Oh, it definitely was too loud.
I feel like we were both really high pitched.
Yep.
Right, welcome to That Just Might Work. This is a show where we take a look at the everyday inventions that you might use on a regular basis, but don't think twice about them, and we think 3 times about them.
We're going to take a look at how they came about in the first place and what we might do to change them, for better or worse.
And thus far, our ideas have been okay.
Yeah, not bad.
Yeah. So before we get on to today's subject, and you will find listening to this show, the subjects they're very everyday, very... Like I said, you don't think twice about them. I do want to remind you that you can follow us on social media and stay in touch online. Facebook.com/thatjustmightwork. On Twitter, it's at TJMW Podcast. And on Instagram, it's at thatjustmightwork. On the web, thatjustmightworkpodcast.com. Also send your ideas to ideas@thatjustmightworkpodcast.com. And as always, send your complaints to No One Checks This at thatjustmightworkpodcast.com. I am going to check it, though.
At least for now.
Yeah, at least until we get so many complaints that it's just overwhelming, and we'll just let it.
Yeah, we'll let you know when that happens.
Yeah, we're not quite there. Actually, no complaints thus far as of the time of recording this episode.
Pretty good.
Yeah, you can't complain, right? So the way the show works, there is a little bit of a format, and it starts with the history. So let's get into today's topic, and that is the shovel.
I feel like we need like a big applause sound there.
Yeah, I was waiting for some sort of a reaction from you, but I don't know what I was expecting.
It's hard for me to react to that.
Yeah, and it's fitting. You know, there was a snowstorm here today, so. You know, I had to use a shovel today. And I do think our focus here, correct me if I'm wrong, is the snow shovel.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking about.
But we'll touch upon, I don't know. I have another shovel in my garage, but what are you
digging?
Garden.
Right.
I'm not digging holes.
Are you burying treasure?
Yeah, so I don't think a lot of people use a regular old shovel very often. So we're going to talk about the snow shovel, and the history is kind of my bit. So ready to get into this?
Yeah, let's do it.
Okay. So starting with the history of just the shovel in general, I like to ask Jesse, when do you think the shovel was invented?
Another tough one. I imagine like they needed to shovel things a pretty long time ago. That's not a recent need. But like, did they like have a stick and a rock tied together? Let's say, close. I'm going to say post Jesus, and I'm going to say, 1250, the year 1250.
You're off by several thousand years. Pre-Jesus.
I was kind of hoping I would get better at this as we go on, but not yet.
No, you're farther off. Sometime around the Neolithic period, which is, not earlier than 2000 BC.
Okay.
And it was actually, the first shovels were used the scapula, am I saying that right, of a large animal, the shoulder blade.
Oh, that makes sense.
And it would be tied to something.
Yeah, you could take like an elephant shoulder blade, and I feel like that would be that might be even too big, actually. Be a big shovel.
Yeah. And fun fact, that's how the items spatula and spade got their names.
Ooh.
The origin being the scapula, a shoulder blade of a large animal in Neolithic times.
A little bonus English lesson.
Yeah, so we'll save the spatula episode for another day, but that's a little tidbit of information for you. So for a long time, shoveling has always had to do with construction and excavation and such, and it kind of existed that way for a really long time until machines became a thing and steam shovels and hydraulic equipment. And for that, we're talking around the year 1900. During the second industrial revolution, the shovel gave way to things such as excavators.
Okay, another big gap there between like the original and like when we really did something with it.
And that's why the show exists, because we went several thousand years without really innovating the original concept of the shovel, and that's a problem to me.
Yeah, exactly. We're hoping we can be the next, generation of ideas here.
Right. So
the third industrial revolution.
Like cavemen to the industrial revolution to today.
With this podcast.
Right. The earliest known snow shovel was found in a bog in Russia, estimated to be 6,000 years old. And the blade was made from a carved elk antler. And it was tied to a bone handle. That's cool.
Yeah, that is a cool shovel.
So that's the history of the shovel. Less interesting than the alarm clock was.
Sure.
But let's get into the next component of the show, which is, why does it suck? What's shitty about the modern day snow shovel?
Yeah, it's a similar. I'm just saying, similar to the alarm clock in the sense that I hate it because what it represents. If I have a shovel, it means I'm going to be shoveling snow, which is just generally unpleasant.
Right. You're not saying that you don't like snow. You're saying you don't like the act of shoveling it.
Right. Like it fell there where it is on purpose. Why am I moving it?
Yeah. I wrote out a list of like my thoughts. All right, why do I not like shoveling? And I said it's painful, it's inefficient, it's really not very effective. It takes a long time. Shovels are also kind of crappy. They break and they rust, and it's loud, and it's exhausting. And then I kind of thought about it. I was like, I don't think there's anything I like about shoveling.
Yeah, I can't really think of anything I like.
I would say like it's good. It's a good exercise, but
there's just more enjoyable exercises than that.
Right. It's painful exercise for me.
I have a lot of the same, like, I hate the cheaper plastic ones that, they flex a lot, they crack, especially if you're shoveling heavier snow or ice. My hands always get really cold. I mean, even if you got gloves on, if you're just holding a shovel over, a long period of time, that'll really cool you down. Another thing I have is it doesn't store well. If, like, I live in a pretty small apartment, so having like a big shovel, I don't really know what to do with it.
Okay, that's something I didn't think about.
Oh, you got a house.
Yeah, put the shovel in the garage. It's not that big of a deal.
Different needs.
So moving on, innovative news. This is the point in the show, unless you have more complaints about the shovel. I don't want to cut you short.
No, I think we're good.
Okay. Nobody likes shoveling. I mean, there's not a lot to say there. Innovative news in terms of shoveling. What did you find in terms of like Kickstarters and new ideas to make the shovel and shoveling better?
Yeah, so I think a lot of other people, like you said, hate shoveling, and it's inspired them to create a couple interesting things. A few, honestly, none that are super impressive. Some that are funny. The man plow.
I like the name.
Yeah, it's giant, like it's real big. It's just picture kind of a regular shovel, but massive. And like that's cool, but also just going to be terribly difficult to use.
Yeah, because the more snow you're shoveling or pushing, the more strength it requires.
Right.
Seems like an obvious thing to say, but has to be said.
We both lived in areas that get a lot of snow. And so we kind of know what like 4 feet of snow feels like when you're trying to shovel it.
Yeah, depending upon where you live, if you're listening to this show, maybe you've never shoveled snow before, and then you probably really are appreciating that fact as you're hearing us complain about it.
Yeah.
But yeah, central New York, you're talking like 4 feet of snow. That sounds like your average snowstorm.
Right. And if you're trying to use something this big to move that height of snow, you're going to have a hard time.
Yeah, it's just not going to work.
Then there's I'm not really sure how to pronounce this. It's kind of weird. The snow wovel, which is a shovel on a giant wheel. Honestly, this kind of looks like something that could have been created around the time they invented the wheel. and it's
If they
supposed
just attach the shovel to the front of it.
yeah, that's exactly what it looks like. And it's supposed to like make it easier because you're not really like, I guess it's using some lever action, so you're not really lifting the snow, you're pushing down to lift the snow, but it just looks really awkward to move around.
Yeah. Is it in production? I've never seen that before.
It is $219 on Amazon.
Oh, geez. It's expensive, too.
Yeah. Then I've got the Snow Joe electric shovel, which, as you might be able to guess, is really just a mini snowblower.
Yeah.
There's not a lot of difference.
And side note, I own a snowblower.
Yeah.
And I really don't shovel unless absolutely necessary anymore, because I shoveled, lived in a lot of apartments, like yourself, and I had the shovel for getting my car out of the parking lot and such, and doing my front steps and driveways in some cases. And I, at one point, tried the electric snowblower. I know this isn't a snowblower episode. It was a piece of crap. I'm not going back.
Yeah, so gas power is the way to go.
Gas powered is the way to go.
All right. Now let's get on to Kickstarters. Those are just other products that actually already exist. Kickstarters, a few successful and a few unsuccessful. The Alpha Shovel, their tagline, which I love,
Sounds good.
Is Mother Nature, meet Daddy. Which I kind of like. It's honestly just kind of a regular shovel, but it's just really well constructed. It's like uses aircraft aluminum, so it's very light, but also very strong. It's collapsible.
I'm still stuck on Daddy. Mother Nature. So Daddy is like grandfather nature.
Unless I could be like husband in this case. I'm not sure.
Right. And if there's like a sexual context to it.
Right.
Like,
yep.
Daddy's home.
If you were going to make your shovel, uber sexual, you'd go with that.
Yeah.
Sorry,
what were you saying about the materials?
It's a good shovel. It's built well. It's got serrated teeth, which sounds kind of dangerous, but I guess like if you're trying to get through ice or something, that's pretty cool.
And a little sexy.
Yeah, it's a good looking shovel, honestly. Out of the shovels I've seen, this is the one I like.
So it's serrated teeth. I'm still missing what's unique about it.
Yeah, if you're expecting all these Kickstarters to be unique, that's really
how does it improve the shoveling experience? Serrated teeth. It's called Daddy.
Is that not enough for you?
I'm not. What's the catch here? What does it do well?
I think it's just a very light and durable shovel. That's it.
Okay, well, that does fix a couple of issues, I guess.
But like you said, it's just there's not a huge amount of mind-blowing innovation in the shovel world. I've got another ergonomic shovel. One thing, and this one was successful. One thing that confused me is that it's got like a second handle. So instead of just holding like the shaft of the shovel, you've got another handle there. So it's supposed to be more ergonomic. But they're calling it the two-handed shovel. And I'm just wondering how many people are shoveling with one hand normally.
Yeah, they didn't really think that through.
No,
it's the two-handled shovel. It's not the two-handed shovel.
Yeah, I think maybe they just screwed up in their recording of their ad, but I was laughing at that. I was like, shoveling with one hand would be very hard. So,
we should talk about those shovels that are supposed to be better for your back, where it has like a stupid like arc to it or something.
Yeah, they're bent halfway down.
Bent halfway down. I understand how that prevents you from bending over, but I've never found those comfortable to use at all.
Yeah, if anything, I find like the regular straight shovel, it's like easier to use.
I have to ask you again, are you being arrested?
Oh my God, 2 for 2.
Is there, do you live in a bad neighborhood? Is there gonna be police sirens every episode?
A little, like, am I breaking the law by recording these? Is there something I don't know?
I don't know. There could be some regulations we're not familiar with.
Yeah.
And another thing, back to shoveling, those ones that are supposed to be good for your back. In doing my reading on snow shoveling and health risks, we're going to get to that. I read that the proper way to shovel is to, let me just read this because it made me realize why shoveling is so painful for me.
Okay.
Maybe you'll be able to relate.
Yeah.
Recommended technique is that when lifting snow, the user bends their knees to collect the snow while maintaining a straight back. I'm already off the rails here.
Yep.
Then straightening the legs to stand and lift. It's best to lift snow by using the shovel as a lever. Never lift snow with a side twisting motion, as that can lead to injury. So I feel like reading that, I'm just 100% wrong in the way that I'm shoveling.
Yeah, my knees are locked and I'm doing a full twist when I'm shoveling.
Full twist and my lower back is burning after like 3 movements. So, I guess maybe like user error is part of the reason we hate shoveling.
That could definitely be it. I do feel though, like if I saw someone, and I'm just picturing this, like someone bending their knees like very over the top to shovel, it just looks weird. You just picture someone bouncing in their driveway. Like,
I guess that would be better for your back, but like talk about a quad workout at that point. You're just like doing squats down the driveway.
Seriously, squats with like 30 pounds of snow. Damn.
Yeah. And I also read in a single winter, shoveling a typical driveway can involve moving more than 25 tons of snow. Yeah. Tons.
This is crazy that anyone expects a single person to shovel things. Like that.
I'm happy that we're talking about this because, again, we looked at the history. We went several thousand years without innovating this. And we're hurting our backs. I forget where I'm going with this point.
You're just mad. You're fired up. It's okay.
I'm upset that we haven't found a better solution to getting snow out of our driveways other than snowblowers, of course.
And plows. But besides those two things, okay. Sometimes you need to use the shovel.
Rephrase that. Let me rephrase that. There are better solutions for getting snow out of the driveway. I'm upset that we haven't improved the shovel itself. When we have invented things like the excavator and such to improve the shovel for excavating purposes.
Right. And yeah, I mean, there's plenty of time where a shovel is kind of your only option, whether it's the only thing you can afford, the only thing you have, or you're in tight spaces, you're going to have to use one
like
eventually.
I have a snowblower, but I still need to shovel my sidewalk because there's too many tight turns and such, and if I want to get the stairs. So I do use a shovel.
Yep.
Okay.
I have just
any
one
more inventions?
Yeah, just one more.
Okay.
It is called the auto lift shovel. And I like where they were going, but it fell real flat. They raised $600 of like the 20,000 they were trying to reach.
Okay.
And this
they needed a better slogan, like "Daddy's here."
If the Daddy's here, if every shovel company just starts using this weird like daddy issue sloganing, we're gonna have a problem. But anyway, it's got a weird like it's got a weird lever on the bottom of it. And instead of like lifting the snow to throw it, you kind of do the same, similar to the wheel idea where you like push down and that wheel is supposed to kind of like help push the shovel part up. I think the issue, and I'm having trouble explaining it, and that's because I don't really think it worked. Like I watched the video and I was like, that looks just as difficult as normal shoveling. And I have a feeling the Kickstarter backers felt the same way, and that's why it didn't work out.
They just sort of overcomplicated the whole concept and didn't really make it easier.
Yep.
All right, so this is the part of the show that the show takes its name after. That just might work. We come up with our own ideas. Sometimes they're terrible. Sometimes I think that I wonder why somebody didn't already think of it. Right?
Yeah. I mean, if you're just looking for ideas to build things, this would be a good place to start. Just listen in.
Yeah, and we don't own the own the rights to any of these ideas, really. So here is my idea, and I kind of teased it when I said the invention of the excavator revolutionized the construction industry, right?
Yep.
Before that, we were just using a bunch of shovels. It's still a shovel, but it's a mechanical shovel. So why don't we apply the same principle to the modern day snow shovel instead of going out like cavemen every time there's a we may as well be using an animal shoulder on a bone handle.
Seriously, it's no different than what I use from Walmart.
In fact, it's probably worse. Those shovels are probably stronger and better than the ones we use.
Yeah.
So bear with me here. I want a shovel that has a pneumatic pressure system.
Oh God. Okay.
It's the main control pack is worn on your back like a jetpack, and it has an arm. Kind of picture like one of those cool leaf blowers.
Okay, yeah, I'm picturing a leaf blower.
It has an arm that's affixed to your arm, and it gives you like Iron Man strength. so this is kind of like a cyborg thing. Okay. The shovel, the blade itself is out in front of you. It's, I don't know, maybe 2 feet wide. You don't have to bend to touch it down to the floor. It's long enough that you can keep your back upright. The blade is heated. This is just a little added bonus that I thought of. And it will, to a degree that will melt ice on contact and leave nothing but pavement behind in a single motion.
That sounded like you were reading off a brochure.
In a single motion. Daddy's here. The shovel will lay on the ground in front of you, and you simply walk forward to collect snow on it, and then you lift the snow using the power of the device and toss it to the side. It uses way less physical effort because the machine is like a robot, right?
Because you're a cyborg now.
Because you are part cyborg now. And one little bonus I thought, I also want the jetpack on the back to spray a de-icing liquid on the ground behind me with each movement of the shovel.
Oh, why not?
Yeah, I mean, we're already at this point. We may as well just like
on.
eliminate more ice from forming.
Yeah.
And my only other thought is that we really shouldn't be shoveling snow at all. I noted that it's stupid, and we should have a remote controlled version. But that was kind of a side point from the whole cyborg.
I was going to say, at which point it
system
becomes like a full robot? Is that what you're building?
Yeah, I just don't want to do it anymore, but I understand that's not the point of the show. So that's my idea. What do you think?
I mean, I like it. How much is it? Like, you know.
Well, I mean, initially there's going to be some production issues. It's probably going to be a couple $1,000s, but
sure.
You know, I want it to be mainstreamed.
And I mean, if you live in one of those areas that gets a lot of snow, what's a couple $1,000s?
What's a snowblower?
Yeah. And this will save your back. Except for the presumably like 80-pound pneumatic system you got to carry on your back. But if we ignore that,
I tried to think about, the logistics of the weight of the pack and the weight of the snow and how is it actually going to simplify the process. And then I decided I'm just not going to think about that too much. I'm just going to get my idea down on paper.
If we have any like mechanical engineers listening, can you please write in and tell us how this would work?
Yeah, is that actually going to be more difficult? I don't know.
All right. I mean, I like it. I've got like a couple small improvements that I want.
Okay.
One. Yeah,
we kind of because I went several states over with this idea.
Right.
You're just going to go around the block a little bit.
Yeah, and maybe we'll land somewhere in the middle. I don't know.
Okay.
I do like the idea of a heated blade. Like, why not? But I'm going to heat the whole shovel because I already said my hands get cold.
Okay.
So now, at least in this case, like, I don't know, I might be able to shovel a little bit longer because I'm more comfortable. That's what I'm hoping anyway. I do want it to be collapsible because, like I said, I can't fit it in my apartment. And I want it to be strong and light. So I honestly, like, maybe I should have backed that Kickstarter and attached my own heater.
Yeah, like those sound like nice improvements to the existing shovel. It's foldable, it's strong, it's light. What material are you suggesting here? Like carbon fiber or
elephant scapula?
Yeah.
I do have one thing that I think we need to talk about because it's probably on everyone's mind. It was on my mind. I think it was on yours. The flamethrower.
I have no idea what you're talking about. Oh, yeah, the flamethrower.
Yeah, exactly. Like, I think everyone at some point who's shoveled snow has had that idea. Like, why can't I use a flamethrower to clear this?
I did think that when I was trying to brainstorm ideas, and then I said, "No, Jason, don't. That's dangerous. You can't give flamethrowers to the masses. That's just asking for problems."
You're like, Jason, we can't build a flamethrower. Let's build a pneumatic cyborg instead.
Less, I don't know. Less dangerous.
I think less dangerous. But anyway, the only reason I really want to bring it up is because I was Googling it. I was like, have people thought of this? And there's actually, the webcomic XKCD. The guy who writes that actually did he does those like brain puzzles. And he talked about whether or not this would work. And I guess in theory it would. It just would be remarkably inefficient. It said you would cover something like 12 feet per gallon of gas. So if you're powering it just with like gasoline, let's say, you're gonna have to carry around a lot of gas.
What kind of fuel are you gonna use?
Right.
So with that, we move on to the final bit of the show, which is the way that we like to end the show. Playing a fun game called Has Someone Died Using It?
Yep. I think I know.
Well, so you got a point in the last episode with the alarm clock. I'm going to say this. A lot of people... I'm just going to throw a fact out there.
Okay.
100 people each winter in the U.S. die shoveling snow.
Wow. It's a lot.
Yeah. And it's almost entirely cardiac related injuries. It's people, overworking themselves. They have a heart attack. So I don't want to give you credit for answering this question if you're basing it upon a cardiac situation like I did with the last episode.
Okay.
All right. Let me ask you. Why don't you just answer it? Has somebody died using the shovel, and how did it happen?
Sorry, am I excluding cardiac events now?
Excluding cardiac events.
I'm going to still say yes. And I'm going to say someone was murdered with a shovel.
I'm excluding that too, because that happens a lot as well.
Oh, man. Shovels are dangerous is what we're learning here.
It's a blunt object. I mean, you name the blunt object. Somebody's been smacked in the head by it.
Come to think of it, no one's been murdered by a pneumatic shoveling system.
It'd be very easy to kill someone with Iron Man strength.
Okay. So not murdered.
I'm still kind of stuck here because I have two instances. I don't want to specify whether or not people died in them. But in these instances, I don't know how to put this without spoiling. Or somebody died, but the shovel wasn't so much the thing that killed them.
Interesting. Okay. Was it like a slip and fall situation?
Yeah. All right. What's your answer? I'm just going to decide whether or not I'm the judge here, whether or not you're getting a point.
Okay. My answer is yes. And how is like slipping and falling and, cracking their head open.
All right. I'm going to give you half a point for this one. I'm going to say no. No one has died by the actual act of shoveling and the shovel being the thing that killed them.
Okay.
As far as I could find in my research. A lot of people murdered by shovels. A lot of people heart attacks by shovels. I went through a lot of that. Really some gruesome stuff. The closest thing I found was actually early 2017, and this is kind of horrific. You may even recall this story. A doorman shoveling the steps Upper East Side building. He slipped while shoveling, fell down the stairs, had his throat slit as his head crashed through a window.
Ooh.
So, died. I don't know if I can blame the shovel.
Yeah, I feel like the shovel gets off here.
There was stairs and there was a window. There were too many other factors. The closest thing I found actually was a professional baseball player for the Minnesota Twins.
Really?
I don't know why I had never heard this, but in a Sports Illustrated article from 2013, former Twins pitcher Carl Pavano lacerated his spleen after falling on a snow shovel.
See, that's a legitimate shovel injury.
That's what I was getting at. Like that, if you had guessed, like puncture wound by shovel and it killed somebody, it almost did kill him. They had to remove his spleen.
Wow. Yeah, that's a gruesome shovel injury.
So he survived though. So I'm going to give you half a point there because somebody did die, shovel related injury. It wasn't so much the shovel, and you weren't really.
Just say it. I was wrong.
Slept. You were wrong. I'm really having a hard time with this. I think it's because I went through like several pages on Google of shovel deaths.
Yeah, I mean, the heart attack thing is big.
Yeah, 100 people a year.
And it's like, it was probably 100. Actually, no, it was probably less, like back in, what'd you say, 600 BC? Because they probably had better cardiac health.
Right. Yeah, and there's a spike. I think I was reading every year around Thanksgiving for cardiac issues because snow falls on the ground, people are fat and lazy, they go out and shovel their driveways and they die. So
on that note,
that is the episode of That Just Might Work on the shovel. Want to remind you to follow us on our social media, facebook.com/thatjustmightwork. On Twitter, it's at TJMW Podcast. On Instagram, it's at That Just Might Work. On the web, thatjustmightworkpodcast.com. Ideas to ideas at thatjustmightworkpodcast.com. And complaints to no one checks this at thatjustmightworkpodcast.com. And again, that concludes today's show. Join us next week. We might be talking about your favorite everyday object.
Here's Daddy.